Howdy, folks. I'm Zelicinia, zestfully zipping past zany zephyrs.
I'm the lady with the black veil.
And here are more zany zephyrs for us to zip by. I don't know exactly why we're doing that, but I guess it's because we're the last flower of our season. Let's get started. And boy, did they zip by. And Amber's going to talk about a book at tea time. All right, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my husband that he needs to give me half of his company if he wants me to be a housewife? My husband and I, both 35, have been married for 6 years and we have 2 children with a third one on the way. He's suggesting that I become a housewife and stop working. This idea troubled me, but he explained that it would be better for our family and children since he can provide a very good standard of living. After considering it for a few weeks, I told him that I would agree, but only if he gave me half of his company. He was surprised by my condition, so I explained that by staying home, I would reduce my chances of finding a well-paying job if we were to ever divorce, because my career would be stagnant, while he would continue to earn more year after year. Therefore, I want half of the company. If we never divorce, which is the goal of all marriage, then it wouldn't matter. But if we did, it would be the cost of me staying home to raise our children so he could be less anxious and stressed. He mentioned he would feel less stressed if the kids were with me rather than a daycare or with nannies. When I shared this with my friends, they called me a jerk. My best friend was very upset and called me disgusting. Now I feel a bit taken aback. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I mean, it's not Opie's idea even to stay at home. Her husband is pressuring her, so it's important that she makes sure she's taken care of in the event of a divorce.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is necessarily an unreasonable demand, right? And if he doesn't like this particular divide 50-50, then he can come up with some other percentage, right?
Right, he can
Or
come up with some kind of counter offer or
mm-hmm.
something. Like, they can negotiate, but it is important that Opie has some kind of security because she's right. Her career would take a major hit. And, like, why isn't he the one volunteering to stay home with the kids if he's so worried about them being taken care of?
Well, I think maybe it's because does he earns probably more than she does,
There's a
right?
good chance of it, but we don't know from the post. Like, there's not enough details.
Yeah, I mean, it's always very tricky in these kinds of situations where there are competing interests here. This really should have been a conversation they had before even starting to have children, because you don't want to be caught in a situation like this where the you both have different ideas about what's best for your family and your children and stuff like that,
Right.
right?
Well, it's weird to me too that he's getting this idea now, like 2 kids in and another on the way.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't something that just happened with the first pregnancy. He's all of a sudden like, I would feel much safer. And like, have you had a bad experience, or is
Yeah.
this just like, I want my wife at home because it's inconvenient to help with the childcare?
Well, and that's what I'm wondering is like, what is the motivation behind this? And I think there needs to be a discussion about what the motivation behind it is because it seems out of the blue. I mean, I don't know if it's something that's been happening for a little while now, but it doesn't seem like it seems like OP is taken aback by it, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
something that she ever considered. So again, like I think that this is certainly a thing that they need to negotiate and actually work together and find a mutually agreeable solution to. Because there has to be one there, right? And again, like what OP said, is that this will never even matter as long as they stay married,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the only time it will matter is if they divorce. And so I think that it's reasonable for OP to want to have a bit of a security blanket. Now, what that is and how fair that is and whatnot, I think that needs to be up to them and they need to negotiate that. But I don't think OP is wrong for asking. Let me put it that way. But let me know what you folks think. So, anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for not having an issue when I found out that my husband and I are related?
I'm a 40-year-old female, and my husband is a 41-year-old male, and we've been married for 19 years together since high school, and we have 4 children together. This last Christmas, I was gifted an ancestry account along with the DNA testing for both my husband and myself. From them, I have been doing a ton of research and finding out a lot of interesting things about mine and my husband's genealogy over these last 7 months. Last week, I found out through my research that my 4 times great grandfather and my husband's 5 times great grandmother were half siblings. They were born in 1839 and 1846, same father, different mothers. It appears their father lost his first wife to childbirth between the two of them. I told my husband, and he freaked out and kept worrying about what we were going to do, if we were allowed to stay married, etc. I told him to calm down. This was so long ago that the genetic material we would share was minimum and was so low that the DNA testing we did didn't show a link. I told him that since it was so long ago, it doesn't matter, and other than being a kind of weird slash funny fact, it doesn't have to change a thing. He is upset that I'm not taking this seriously. So am I the jerk for not having an issue when I found out my husband and I are related?
All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. I mean, I think it's after 4 or 5 generations. I forget which one. But definitely after 5 generations, you share as much like genetic material with someone you're related to as a random stranger on average.
Yeah.
It very quickly as you go through the family tree, you lose that genetic relation.
Yeah, it really is one of those things where you very, very quickly lose the relationship, and that's why even in some places, second cousins, I believe, are still able to get married and stuff like that.
I mean, in some places, first cousins are
Yeah,
too.
some places I guess first cousins are as well, and I mean, it this isn't going to be a issue of the law. There are a lot of people who are related like this, so I mean, I think like if you were to throw a stone, most people you would hit would have some kind of relationship between them and their partner, right?
Well, that's the thing, because if you think about how many ancestors you have when you get like 5 generations back, like if you marry someone, like they went to high school together, you marry someone from the same geographic region as you,
Yeah.
there's a very, very good chance that your trees are going to intersect somewhere.
Yeah. Well, and if your families were in the same area for a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
then there's like a near guarantee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that he is just being hyperfixated on this one very small issue, and that is not that big of a deal.
I mean, I think it's important to take him seriously and not like make fun of him or anything
Oh
like
yeah, I
that.
mean, I think that that's not. I mean, if she were to start mocking him and
Right.
laughing in his face, then yeah, that would change the entire story. So I laughed at him and I
Yeah.
mocked him and I told him that he was not a very smart man, and he
Right.
got offended at me.
So, I mean, because people are weirded out by, interesting things, and there is a big taboo around being
Hmm.
related to your partner. And again, people don't generally mean like, oh, yeah, we have like 0.005% shared genetic material. So, but it is important too that he's able to communicate his feelings and his fears. It may be
Yeah.
worth him talking to someone if this becomes a big issue for him. Talk it over with a counselor or something so you can get these feelings out. But I just say be as kind to him as you can be while holding firm that it's not a big deal.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So, anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Being Braless at Home? So, I'm married, a 37-year-old female. I'm usually braless when I'm at home, and we don't get a lot of home deliveries these days, and usually I do get the order without wearing a bra. I'm usually in a casual, loose fitted shirt and slacks at home. My husband got pretty upset this morning when he found out that I answered the door to the delivery guy without wearing a bra. He said that his concern was that the guy might turn up the next time and push his way in, and this is where I was starting to get offended, and I'm not sure why I was being accused of inviting trouble into my own home. I mean, the interaction with the delivery people is usually less than 10 seconds. I open the door, I collect the item, I make a payment if I have to, and then I close and lock the door. My husband started saying that there were psychos out there, and that he was just looking out for my safety, and how he has watched so many movies where he has seen things gone wrong. I feel that this sounds a little archaic, and now he's making me feel uncomfortable in my own skin. I think that I would have understood if he was saying that he personally was uncomfortable with it, but something about him saying how these men may force themselves in just didn't sit quite right with me. I want to know if I'm provoking these delivery guys by my attire. Alright, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not. You are not provoking anyone. This is victim blaming at its finest. Now, I want to say, before we get into the weeds of it, movies are not the best place to find reliable
Well,
information.
I mean, that's actually where I wanted to say. I want to be like, the movies are so realistic.
Right. Like, we have this cultural narrative that, skimpy clothes have no correlation, between whether or not someone's assaulted.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if you were to see, if you look across the board, there are even countries where women wear like full on, body,
Mm-hmm.
garments and whatnot, right? Where they cover up their skin. And there's still high levels of sexual assault in these countries as well. So it doesn't really change whether or not someone is sexually assaulted or not with how much skin they're showing or how much how form-fitting their clothes are and stuff like that. The thing is that who sexually assaults people are people who sexually assault people, right?
Right. And it's about power and control more than anything else, And so husband needs to lay off the movies for his advice. And yeah, you shouldn't feel bad about wearing what's comfortable in your own home. These delivery drivers, they have a job to do. They probably are not paying that much attention. Probably most of them don't even notice that you're braless.
Well, I mean, and plus, like, so many of them are in like such tight schedules.
Yeah, like, you gotta get to the next delivery.
Otherwise, they get fired. So maybe that they're like, gotta go, gotta get here and got get out of here, right? Because if they're an Amazon driver, then I mean, they're really under pressure to get stuff delivered, right?
Yeah.
So
So, I mean, yeah, I don't think Opie's done anything wrong here. I think that her husband is very misguided here and needs to learn about the reality of what causes sexual assault. Hint, it's rapists. And stop trying to, police what Opie wears out of this idea that it will make her safer, because it won't. The
yeah.
only thing that will keep you safe is not having rapists around.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Punching My Boyfriend in the Face from Reflexes After He Snuck in the House While I Was in the Shower? I'm in the shower in my own world, and my boyfriend went to the store to run a few errands. He came back into the house, he sneaks up the stairs, comes into the bathroom, and screams while he whips the curtain open. I'm scared, and I threw a punch, and I made his nose bleed. Now he's mad at me. I was scared and vulnerable and naked in the shower. I thought that he was an intruder and just acted on instincts. I didn't mean to actually hit him. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I don't know what this guy was expecting here. Like, OP's showering, and there's someone in her shower, like, ripping the curtain open, screaming at her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think a lot of people are going to have very, like, visceral, your body goes into fight or flight mode, and her body chose, I'm going to fight.
Yeah.
Which is another thing. You can't, like, blame people for fight or flight when they go into one of those situations, whatever their body does.
Yeah.
And so for him to get upset at her because he provoked a natural body response by terrorizing her is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to jump out and scare somebody, then you have to expect that there's going to be some kind of reflexive action here, right? And that's really what it boils down to. I think that he learned a valuable lesson that if he sneaks up on his girlfriend, then she might accidentally punch him in the face. And, like, that's a good reason not to sneak up on somebody and not to do something like this. Yeah, I mean, he's mad right now, but he can't really blame you for reflexes. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Why did the gymnast enjoy her vacation?
I mean, who doesn't enjoy a vacation? I mean, unless your vacation is doing miserable stuff. I imagine the gymnasts enjoyed their vacation because they weren't doing gymnast stuff.
She bent over backward to have a good time.
I mean, that one's actually not bad. That's not bad, Jovial Bobstein.
I was thinking, she was willing to be flexible or something like that.
I mean, that works out really well, too. And I have licorice spice. And folks, Amber wants to talk about her story.
Yes, so today is the day that Grizzly, a charity anthology, is released. And I have a short story in there called Jane. So I'm just dressed as one of the characters from my story. And so the anthology is to benefit Take Back the Night, which is an organization dedicated to ending sexual assault worldwide. And so the stories are written by survivors, for survivors, and for anyone. And so, yeah, it's all proceeds again go to Take Back the Night. So, no one is profiting off of this other than a great organization. It's a great way to give back, and I am so excited and happy to be part of this. And yeah, there's a lot of great stories. It's also multi-genre, so a lot of the stuff I do is just horror. And again, my story is horror, but there are other stories in there too that aren't horror, so
yeah. So make sure to check that out. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, wonderful Wednesday, Hump Day, Friday, Junior's Eve. Oh my goodness, thank you so much to Amber for joining me today.
thank you for having me.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it the title of the next Netflix series.
When a delivery driver calls.
I
It's
like
like
it.
a take on when
Yeah.
a stranger calls.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
It's exactly what the husband expects to have happen.
Yeah,
Although it'd be great if we like took some tropes and flipped them on their head, so like it seems like it's going one way, but
yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
bye.